Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining me this afternoon. We're going to be doing an overview of the ClientMate tax and the database and tax admin system. It is 3 o'clock, but there's still quite a number of people rolling in. Got an awesome turnout this afternoon. I think we had about 170 people sign up. So we're missing a few still. All right, just if you haven't attended one of our webinars before, you have an opportunity to ask questions as we go along. There's a questions box, and you can type your questions into the question box, and as we go along, I'll occasionally pause and just have a look at those questions and hopefully answer them for us. Believe it or not, there are people still signing up for the webinar right now. Right, I just need to prepare a few things on this side. I've got a couple of monitors. I've got attendance lists on the one, questions on the other. And as I say, there's still people rolling in here. Just take time. I've already got a question that's come through here. Is Windows 10 going to be fully supported by the software? Yes, it will be. We've always supported every new release of Windows. Yeah, no problem there. There may be a few teething issues, but I'm sure we'll have them sorted out in no time. So yeah, we have to move forward and with Windows as things change. I know on our AuditMate product, we're going to be making some changes there so that we're already compatible with these Windows, but we run it in a networked environment in a slightly old way, and to enable us to move forward, we're going to be changing that. So the AuditMate installation will change significantly. Right, we've got a lot more people there. Right. Okay, just going to change the screen here. There's a little bit of a time delay between what happens on my screen and when you see it. I do have an audience view screen, so I try to keep an eye on that. But if I'm running ahead a little bit too much, just someone pop a question through there and tell me to slow down. That'll be helpful. Right, the plan for the afternoon, or for the next hour, is for me to go through ClientMate tax with you, show you what it does, explain a few things. It's not really a training session as such. It's more an overview of what the system can do and how it does it. And yeah, this is a system that I started developing probably 10 or 12 years ago. It was when the FICA legislation actually came out, and a lot of accountants were going to be subject to this FICA requirement, and it seemed like a good idea to have this create a database of the clients. So it really started in its design phase being related to FICA and maintaining data that one needed for FICA compliance. That's changed over time, and ClientMate does a lot more than that. Right, let's get into the program and see. Obviously, you can see on my screen here we have a login and a password. That's because the program is designed to run on your network and have multiple people accessing this data all at the same time. And we want to keep track of who's accessing, who's making changes to the database. So we start off with a login. And that can be set up as simply as going to the admin, go to the users, and we can add more users. Okay, I'm just waiting for the audience view page to catch up, and it's running rather slowly. In fact, the window that I've just opened, I don't see that it's even appeared on your screens yet. There we go. All right, so we can add in multiple users. Let's just insert a new user so you can see. Just and we'll give her a login. Now, at this point in the program, everyone should just be allocated supervisor status. The user access controls are limited, and so everyone just needs to be a supervisor at this stage. When you create a new user, you create a login code, and the password is the same as a login code initially. Okay. Once that person has logged in, they would be able to go to here, change password, and you can change a password. Okay, so we can have multiple users accessing the system at the same time. And in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, it will tell us who the user is. It's currently logged in, and the access level supervisor. Right, on the screen, we're very client-centric in that everything about ClientMate really revolves around the client, hence the name ClientMate. And we are going to record as much information about the client as we need and as is useful for us. So this has been and it's obviously very tailored to an accounting office. That's where I grew up, and in fact, the office or the firm that I was with previously, still going. They still use the version of this program that I wrote for them, starting many years ago. When I left that firm, now 12, 13 years ago, we took what we had developed then and we made it more generic. And that's what we've got here now. So on the left, we have a list of clients. Now this list would include all clients of all types. So we've got CCs, PTYs, individuals, trusts. I've just put some data on the screen here just to give us an idea of, or give us some data to work with so we can see some of this functionality. But at its basic level, let's take a client here, and if I just double click on them, it's going to open up their details. And you can see the type of information that we maintain on a client and all their personal details. Obviously their names and addresses, their full names. Here we've got a known as, so this will be the name that they're generally called by. And we use that name when we customize the letters and the emails to send out. That's the name that we would use. Okay, we keep a whole lot of other info too, citizenship, and this is all there to be used if you want to use it. If you don't want to use it, no problem. Just leave it blank. But you'll find it's useful. If we go to page 2 of this form, there we've got a whole lot of income tax numbers, VAT numbers, PAYE reference numbers, a whole lot of other information. Okay, we also here we can allocate a client to different partners and to different staff members, and this is useful, obviously in a multi-partner practice. So you can get a list of whose clients are whose. When you're doing the provisional tax returns, for example, just the one part, you can filter those reports by partner, by staff member. We've got the take-on date and confirmation date. This latest confirmation date's quite useful. So when your client comes to see you, you can go through their data with them and just check that it's all up to date. And we have a termination date because we don't just delete this data. If the client leaves us, we don't just delete the data and it's all gone. What we do is we terminate them on the system. They show as a grayed out client. In fact, let me show you. So if I right click here, choose terminate, give the reason why, click on OK, and then you see that person now is just grayed out. So they're still in the list, all their data is still there because they may come back to us or we may need to refer to that data in future years. If we don't want to see them in the list, we can right click on the list and we can click on hide terminated, and then we won't see the terminated clients in the list. Okay, let's bring him back. So we unhide the terminated, go to him, and we click on this button here, which is revive a terminated client. And we just click on OK, and we've got him back. And all his data is still back with us. Right, we're on page 2. We have a number of mailing lists, and we'll just discuss that shortly, but there's 4 different mailing lists that the person can be added onto. Their addresses, we keep track of postal address, physical and business address, and we also keep track of the area where they live. Now, you don't have to, but these fields are there and they're optional. But if we do record that area where someone lives, for example, we can filter this list by area. So we could go to that area and we could choose here Western Cape, and just those people that are in that area will come out on that list. Okay, the other filters we can use, we can filter by partner. Right, we can filter based on the type of client, so individuals, say CCs. We can go with birthdays and incorporation dates. Now, incorporation dates is quite useful because that's where we could look at the list of for the annual returns. And we can change that month. Let's have a look here. We've got a couple in month 2. Okay, we've got a couple, one in month 6, and no others in this one. Okay, so those filters are quite useful on those lists, and those filters can be used everywhere in the program, wherever we're generating reports or lists of clients. Okay, let's just carry on with the data in here. So we have the addresses, we have details about the business, we have a place for notes about this client. Let's just jump down to the telephone numbers, and we can add in telephone numbers. Incidentally, we can send SMSs out of the system to cell phone numbers. Let's just go to emails. We can add email addresses, multiple email addresses. We have when you add the first email address, that also becomes the default email address. But we can add multiple email addresses, and then we have some tax details as well. And we would mark the person as a tax client if they are a tax client. And then we have the option to tick these other boxes here: provisional tax, e-filing, etc. And in our client list, if it's got the little money symbol, then that means they're a tax client. Got this little CRPC symbol, it means they're a CRPC client. In other words, we do the annual returns for them. All right, just let's have a couple of questions here. Okay, I'm going to deal with, okay, first one here is, what's the maximum amount of clients that the database can handle? That's kind of, I'm going to say it's unlimited in terms of, it's practically unlimited. All right, the size of the file, I think, can go up to about 4 gigabytes, which might be, for the data we're keeping here, it could be maybe 200,000 clients. So, you know, for a small accounting practice, it's it's practically unlimited. Okay, a couple of people are battling with sound. Obviously not everyone's battling with sound, otherwise I'd have a few more people saying so. I tell you what, there is a little button where you can raise your hand. If you can hear me okay, would you mind just raising your hand so I just get an indication how many people? There's 1 up, 2 up, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, it's plenty. Okay, so there's no trouble with sound. So that trouble must be on their side. Sorry. Okay, the sound is sorted out. All right. Okay, is there a place to upload, save specific documents, e.g. scan, copy of ID, etc.? Definitely. The system does work around document storage as well. And now we've kept it simple. It's always been our philosophy to try and keep things simple. And in this case, we use the Windows operating system to help us do this. So every client that we create, so let's take this one, okay, name, etc. When we create that client, it also creates a folder for that client. And if I click on this button here called Quick Explorer, that is going to take us into the folder for the client. And you'll see the name. There's a folder called Robinson Carl. All right, and inside it, there are several other folders. Now, all 3 of these other folders in here have been automatically created by the system. When we put in a 2013 tax return, for example, it created this folder. When I did the 2015 tax return, it created this folder. And when I sent or when emailed a letter, it created an emailed letters folder. And inside it are the various letters that were emailed. So we use this folder structure for saving client documents, which means that they can be saved from anywhere, even outside of the system, by other programs. As an example, inside this folder, I have got an RTR 12 and I've got an RTA 34. Now those came from the SARS e-filing system. When I received that RTA 34, what I did was I printed it to PDF and I saved it into this client's folder. Okay, so it's a great way to store this information, and this is how we interface or interact with e-filing. It's a manual interaction, but the documentation that comes out of e-filing, save it to PDF or TIF or GIF or whatever file you want to save it as. Put it into here, and then you actually link to these documents. I'll show you that quickly. If I select that client and I go to the tax tab on the right-hand side here, and I look at the submission. Under the submission of where I record the submission of the tax returns, I can go and link a document. Okay, and under the assessment, I can link a document as well. So I go to the assessment link, click on it. It will take me straight to that folder. Double click on that file, and that is now linked in. So from this, I can go to submission, I can go to the assessment tab, click on this document. Okay, it shows me that there is a PDF document available that's linked to the assessment. I'll click on that, and the actual form will open. Just waiting for your screens to catch up. All right, so there's RTA 34. Now, the RTA 34 opens in a PDF tool, which is included in the system. It's not the Adobe tool, it's our PDF tool. In fact, it's created by someone called Tracker Software. But it allows me to annotate on this document. So I might want to send this document to my client as an attachment, and I might want to highlight to them the date when payment's due. It's not going to let me do it. Sorry, this document it was protected when I saved it from the SARS side. So I don't think that I can use these tools to type on it. No, I can't. Possibly the other one. Yes, on the other one I could actually highlight things here. Let's just rotate the pages here so we can see it. And I can use this highlighting tool to highlight something if I wanted to. Okay, sorry, that's a bit of an aside. Okay, so we can link documents into the submissions and the assessments. I wasn't meaning to get into the tax yet because we're still really on the information side of things. So let's just get back to where we were. Okay. Okay, something I wanted to check. Okay, where we've got okay, so that was for an individual. Where we've got companies or a CC. Okay, let's take the CC ClientMate. Okay, fictitiously created in here. But here we can go to the members, and we can add in the members of the CC. Okay, the way that I did that was just by clicking on the add button. Well, let me delete one and put it back. Okay, so if I want to now put a member on, I'll click on add. I'll go look up the other member of the CC, put in their percentage ownership, and save it. All right, so we've got now this CC with these members. Similarly, on a trust, right? We can go into the trust, and we can have a look at the beneficiaries, and we can link in beneficiaries. We can link in trustees. And this way we can record the group structures of our clients. Then if I'm interested in knowing now, okay, this person, what CCs are they a member of? Okay, I can click on this button here for related entities and look at the memberships. Okay, and we can see I'm a member on ClientMate. If I look at the trusteeships, you can see I'm a trustee on the Robinson Family Trust. Okay, let's have a look. See my wife, Carol. Okay, she's also a trustee on the Robinson Family Trust. And if there were other trusts, they would all come out there as well. So where one of the partners is, say, a trustee on multiple trusts, he could click on trusteeship and put his details in and see now which trusts is he a trustee on. It's a really useful function. Okay, another useful lookup thing in a database is telephone numbers. If I click on the lookups, here we've got a lookup on telephone numbers. And as I start typing 021, it starts filtering the list. Okay, I use this all the time because I use this database to maintain my mailing lists that you guys get emails from, and all our client contacts. If I want to look up email addresses, I can do the same thing. Start typing in, and it starts filtering the list. Okay, very useful tools to have in a big office. Because you may also have, I may have my email address linked to multiple entities. Okay. In fact, so I can show you how this works. I can also add email addresses on this screen directly without going into the client and adding the email address. I can do it at this point by doing a right click, insert, and I can type in my email address. And when I click enter, it also makes that then the default email address. Same story with telephone numbers. I can right click, insert. I'm going to put in a cell phone number. Right, now if I look at telephone numbers, and I start 082 776, now see, my cell phone number is linked to that entity and that person. Okay, and same with the email addresses. Also on this screen, if we run down these lists a little bit, we see here's the members and partners, and it will show us who the members and partners are in that CC. If I click to the Robinson Family Trust, that will now open up and show me the trustees and the beneficiaries. So that's all available on one screen. On the right of that, we've got all these registration numbers and other pertinent information as well. Now, what happens when you meet with your client and you want to check and update the information? Well, we've got a couple of forms that can be used. All right, let's just see here. Print client update form and email. Okay, or we've got that one or this one. Okay, so let's try this one first and just see what happens. Grab a PDF. Okay, this document then will be printed out. Waiting for your screens to catch up. And on the left-hand side, it shows information that we've got already for the client. And on the right-hand side, there's place for updated information and place for your client to sign and date. Okay, so you just print that out before they come, give it to them, get them to update the info, and then you give that back to your secretary and get them to update the client database. Now, every time the client database gets updated, there's a history of changes that is kept. And here's this little button here for history of changes. And you can see all the times that we've been in and made changes. And if I go double click on one of those items, then it's going to show me the details prior to the change that was made. So I can see now what changed and who made that change. Okay, that was one client update form. I think there is another one in a slightly different format. Let's see, there we go. There's a different one that can be used. With the various boxes that can be ticked for verifying information. So it's up to you which one you use, but they're pretty useful. And those can be emailed to your client as well. So you might just regularly, every week, send out a batch of update forms to your clients and get them to update their details. Okay, I mentioned earlier that actually, before I do that, let's just have a look at these questions again. There's actually quite a lot of questions coming through here. Do you have a cloud-based version? Someone wants to know. No, not at this stage. This runs on a server. So that's well, it can be a standalone computer. Okay, it could run on your laptop and just one person access it. It could run on any machine in the office which is shared with other parties in the office, and that's like a mini server. You could put it on a proper server and share it that way. You can even, well, you could put it on a cloud-based server and use remote desktop. But essentially, it's a Windows-based program, and in order to access it, you need to use either a Windows remote desktop interface or something like, there's another thing called TS Plus, or some sort of virtual private server network type thing. What's normally referred to as a cloud-based version would be something that you access through your web browser. And this is not one of those things. We can develop those things. We have another system called companyregisters.co.za. If anyone's been to that website, you'll know. There we've got a cloud-based company registers system. So we're looking at the possibility of doing this in the cloud, but right at the moment, it's not on the cards. So the answer to that one's no for now. Okay. Right, someone just asked me if there's a way to incorporate the ITR 14 from AuditMate into ClientMate. And certainly there is. When you in AuditMate, when you produce that ITR 14, you can save it into, for example, we'd have an ITMate CC folder. Again, I haven't submitted any tax returns here, so there's no tax folders there. But there would be a tax folder there, and you could just save that RTR 14 straight into there. So that is a possibility. Can you import the client's information from Excel into ClientMate? Yes. When you first set up the system, that's one of the services that we offer, is to help you get your client database in here. So if you've got your client database in an Excel document, we can import it. If you've got it in Pastel Debtors, we can get it extracted out of Pastel Debtors into an Excel spreadsheet and then import it. And it's as simple as going to import Excel up here, and you choose your import file, and you basically map that spreadsheet of columns to these fields, and then you can import this into ClientMate. So that gets you set up and gets you up and running quite quickly. And I say that's a free service that we offer to help you get that database in here. Just looking at the questions. Someone's asked if says they're currently using Taxware and Caseware for timesheets. Would you be able to offer the equivalent, or is ClientMate mainly for tax? ClientMate, this that you're looking at right now is ClientMate with tax, but it does the same database is used for our ClientMate time system. Now, I'm not showing you that today, but ClientMate time is part of the package. So yes, the ClientMate time could replace your time and billing that you're using in Caseware, definitely. In a much simpler way as well, I might add. Okay, is there a function to share certificates and other secretarial admin? Okay, the system isn't designed for company secretarial work. Companyregisters.co.za is the one you want for that. But you can create other subfolders. So we talked about this subfolder system. So within, if I go to any particular client, there will be some subfolders. Now, under the, here we go, under the company tab, we have this option of client folders. And we can use this to create more subfolders. So if we wanted a subfolder for, sorry, we would insert this and we might use something like we might want to keep annual financial statements in here. So we would create a subfolder called AFS. We might have a subfolder for VAT returns, etc., etc. And if we click on create, what will happen is the system will run through and it will create those subfolders underneath every single client. Okay, there we go, VAT returns and AFS. And every new client that is added will also get those subfolders. So it just enables you to structure things the way that you want them. Okay, if you wanted a subfolder of a subfolder, that can even be done as well. Like the AFS, we would go AFS / 2013, say. And we might do another one, AFS / 2014. Let's just try one more. Whoops. Let's get the... And we click on create, and those should be created. Let's have a look. There we've got AFS, and there we've got some more subfolders. Okay, if we made a mistake, you can also use this to change or rename a subfolder from one name to a different name. So it's quite a powerful feature, and it enables you to structure your data within your clients the way that you want to use them. Here's just a question about pricing. Is the price for ClientMate tax inclusive of ClientMate, or you pay for both separately? Okay, you can consider it as 3 modules: ClientMate database, ClientMate tax, and ClientMate time. And we basically have the same price for each module. You're always going to need the client database. You can't just buy tax, you need the ClientMate part as well. And you can't just buy time, you also need the ClientMate. So you're generally going to be buying 2 modules at least. And the prices are on our website, and they're very reasonable. I mean, we scale it up a little bit. We start with a 2-user, that's 2 people accessing the data at the same time. Then we move to a 5-user, 10-user, 20, 50, and you can carry on. I think the price for a 2-user for the ClientMate is about 150 Rand a month. If you've got ClientMate tax, it's 300 Rand a month. If it was ClientMate tax and time, it would be 450 Rand a month. So, and then going up to 5 users, 10 users, it's not a big price jump. You just have a look on our website for that. Our website is itmates.co.za. And yes, Caroline, we'll do a webinar on TimeMate one of these days soon as well. I think we're going to do a lot more of these webinars. Okay, so I'm just cleaning up the questions lists here. All right, I mentioned the mailing lists. Okay, so we can use the system for correspondence. So we use ClientMate to correspond out of the system. Okay, it's not a full email client, so we don't receive emails into the system, not at this stage. We correspond going out of the system. And we set up various standard letters. Well, we've got it down as letters because it started as letters. This started as something where you printed documents and you sent them in the post. But obviously over time, emails has become the standard thing. So it's letters and emails. And the system comes with a set of letters, emails in a template sort of form. Because if I look here, I've got general letters, I've got tax letters. The tax letters are very important when we get to the tax system, because for every submission, assessment, provisional tax return, there are various letters depending on whether there's a nil return, whether there's something to pay, or on the assessments whether there's a refund or something to pay. So we have different categories of letters. So we supply all those, and then you can edit them to your heart's content. But on the general side and the annual return side, there's a couple of letters. So we've got a couple of letters here, one for CCs, one for companies for annual returns. And then just some example letters of how you might want to send out a bulk email to clients. So we've got one here, we've got a newsletter where we might attach a PDF newsletter. All right, so if we just have a look at this letter by double clicking on it, this is the email part of the letter or the email. And this is what would come out in the email that sends this letter. Now, the default is to send an email. If there's an email address, it will create the letter, save it as a PDF, attach it to an email and send it. If there's no email address, then it will come out onto a to print list, and you can optionally print those letters. But this is the email portion, and you can edit this, you can change this as you wish it to be done. This is the letter portion. Okay, in this case, we don't have a letter, and this is a setup regarding the letter. So you can specify your letterhead, your footer, or an entire page image when you set this up. And each letter can be set up so we can facilitate different letterheads for different partners, for example. So this is an example if we wanted to send an email with an attachment. And you'll see this line here is where the attachment is specified. Okay, now I can choose the attachment. So in this case, this was just an example. So there should be a document here called newsletters. Where is that? I don't believe that document's actually in here. Oh, there it is. Okay, so that's where we specified a fixed PDF document to go with the email. Okay, and if we wanted to prompt for further attachments, we could tick this little box, and then it would also prompt us to attach other things. But let's look at how we could send this out. Just save this. Now, if I want to send an entire stream of letters, I'll click on the letters option here, and I can choose to send to all, or these four options are my different mailing lists, or I've got another option which is filtered. Now, usually the mailing lists, let's just go and have a look here. We'll give them names. So here's the mail list names. We can set them up. This is the primary mailing list. And this would normally be the mailing list that in a group situation where you've got various companies, maybe a husband, wife, and children on the database, only one of those, the husband or the wife, would be on that primary mailing list. Okay, then you might have secondary mailing lists where your firm might do an annual golf day. Okay, so we'll call this one golf. And then you might use the others for other things. All right. But if I want to then put myself onto the golf mailing list and onto the primary mailing list, put my wife onto the golf one, and then I would leave the CCs off. I can assign different people to different mailing lists. Then when I come to actually send out a letter or email, then I would choose, for example, in this case, oops, I don't know where my list went to. Let's just close this window. and open it up again. Okay, something went wrong when I changed the mailing list names. So let me just log in here again. That's better. All right. So I want to send the letters to everyone on the primary mailing list. Oh, there's only one. Okay, let's add a couple of other people. Let's put Michael on the primary mailing list and Joanne. Okay, so I'm going to send a letter or email to the primary mailing list. Oh, I didn't put. Now, they didn't come out on that list. They came out on the printing list. Why was that? Because they didn't have email addresses added to them. So let's go in here and add an email address. And we'll add an email address for Michael. Okay, let's try again. So we'll send to the primary mailing list, and this time all three of them came out. There's no one on the print mailing list. Right, then I choose the letter I want to send, and it was the one with the PDF attachment. All right, now you'll notice it's got here subject line, our latest newsletter to you, and it's got square brackets and known as. What's going to happen is when the email gets sent, it personalizes. So it takes that known as and it will replace it with the known as field that we used when we set up the data. So for Carl Robinson, it's going to say Carl, our latest newsletter to you, Carl, and then Michael and Joanne. And same in the body of the email, the known as will also get replaced. Now we can see this in action. Okay, if we use the three buttons here, this one, the first one, will send one email at a time, and we can preview it as it goes along. The second one will send them one after the next, previewing them as they go along, and the third one will just send them without any preview. Now it sends it through Outlook. If you have Outlook on your system, then it's going to send the emails through your normal Outlook. You can also use what we call the internal emailer, and so if you don't have Outlook on the system, you can use the internal emailer, set that up, and it will go out of the system as well. But let's preview this one as it goes so we can see what happens. Okay, so it first says, do you want to send it? So yes. And now it's actually opened up an Outlook email, sorry, on my other monitor. Just wait for this to come across. And you'll see that it's created the Outlook email. It's addressed it to Carl at RTMates, all right? And it's put the subject line, our latest newsletter to you, Carl. Remember, it replaced the known as with Carl. And even in the body, it says, Dear Carl. Right, there's a newsletter as an attachment. And then on the email, at the end of the email, it's always going to put in these details. Okay, now I haven't set them up here, where it says your firm and disclaimer goes here. That's something that I need to set up, and I'll show you now. But then that will always go on the bottom of every email that goes out of the system. If I click on send, that email is going to get sent. Okay, and it shows it's ticked off. And I was clicking on this button, it just did one, and it previewed it as it went along. Okay, if I want to send the rest of them, because I'm happy that worked, I'll just click on that one, say yes, can do them in batches, and it's going to go through and send the other two. And that all happened through Outlook still. You never saw it come up. It didn't preview, okay? But it sent it all through Outlook. And if I go and open my Outlook, and I look in the sent items, we will see, well, I'm not going to do it now, but we'll see those items sitting in the sent items. All right, so that's how you can send a batch of emails. Right. I need to just have a look at some more questions. There certainly are a lot of questions coming through. Okay, there's a question here about the categories. Now, we use the mailing lists to be able to filter who we're sending things to. If we look at this filtered option here, you'll see there are a number of filters that we can use. We can filter by mailing list. We can filter by partner, staff member, type of entity, and these are cumulative filters. So in this case, we're looking at all the people on the primary mailing list for partner Carl that are PTYs. Okay, and we might say, oh, and those ones that are in the Western Cape. Okay, then we also have the thing flags. Those are another way to categorize things. And we have this option here, category. Okay, I'm just going to cancel here because categories is something that is incredibly powerful. Something's a little wrong there. All right, it's because we cancelled on that filter. But categories, we can set up multiple categories. Okay, whereas there's only 4 mailing lists and there are 4 flags, which I'll show you just now. Categories, we can set up multiple categories, and people can belong to multiple categories. So here is an example. I've set up some categories: audit, independent review, PAYE, and then the 3 different VAT months. And we can add more. Okay, I click on add, I add another one. Let's do a compilation. All right. Now I need to assign my clients to those things. So let's look at ABC Enterprises. Okay, it's got no categories here, but I can click on insert. So I right click, insert, and then I can see, okay, it's a CC. I'm only doing a compilation on this one. Yes, add another one. It's VAT, even months. Yes. Next one, okay, this software one here, I do an audit, but I have VAT for the odd months. This CC, I've got VAT for the even months, and I do a compilation. Okay, so I'm assigning multiple categories. There's no limit on these things. Then I could actually go and have a look at who belongs to what category. So if I click on here and I choose, okay, who do I do a compilation for? And I click on link to clients, it's going to come up with a list of who I do compilations for. Okay, this is pretty useful. Who do I do VAT returns, even months? Okay, and I've got those 2. And now you might say, oh, but now I need to print this, or I need to get this in Excel. And you can. Okay, if you click on the send to button, wherever you see send to gives you a lot of options. You can send it to a printer. Right, if you click on file, you can send it to different types of files. So you can send it to a PDF, or you can send it to Excel or to Word. Let's click Excel and see what happens here. Okay, it will create a file name for me. Now, because I'm on a particular client here, it's actually putting it into that client's folder. Now, I might not want it there, so I can edit this folder where it goes to. Okay, so it's just going to go into clients, VAT, even months. Let me click on save, and let's see what happens. Yeah, something went wrong. Okay, we're actually working on a brand new version of ClientMate here. Those of you who use ClientMate will see this is version 7. Okay, version 7 is not actually released yet because we've updated the programming language, and obviously 1 or 2 little niggles that are coming out here. So where was I? Categories. Let's just try that one again. try the send to Excel. It's quite possible that there's a... Okay, this time it worked. Here's now created an Excel spreadsheet with those details on it. So you can then use that as a control list or something. Here we've used VAT for even months, and then we could go and add in our own columns there, date completed, etc., client contacted, whatever. But it gives you a lot of flexibility. Okay, so you can from that client list. Okay, close that up. Yeah, so categories very, very, very useful if I wanted to send a letter to a certain category of clients. Okay, to all my audit clients. And there it will give me the list of all the audit clients. Then I could choose the letter that I wanted to send. Now you can create your own letters, of course. And you could add them in here and then select that particular letter that's your letter that you want to send, or your email, should I say. Okay, you can also so instead of doing a group of clients, you could go and select one particular client. Okay, so let's find one that's got multiple email addresses on it. Okay, it doesn't. Let's just add another email address here quickly. Because I want to show you that if I right click in here, I can go send to all. Okay, and it's going to send to all those email addresses that were listed there for that particular client. Then I can choose a letter and send it. Okay, if I want to just send to one of them, say just to Michael, then I can go send to selected. Okay, and it's going to come out with Michael's. Now Michael's linked as his email address for two different clients. Okay, so it's going to show both of them. If I only want to send one, I can just choose one, or I can, from the list, I can actually say, okay, don't send to this one, and I can just exclude it. Okay, so there's a lot of flexibility in here. I think I've covered enough on the client database part. Now, obviously, we have the tax side of things. And there's a tax tab on this side, which then shows the tax information relevant to the client that's selected on the left. So let's go to Carl Robinson there, and we can see here's his submissions, here's his assessments that have been captured, and here's his provisional tax returns that have been captured on the system. Okay, that's just an example. If I submit the 2014 tax return, how do I do that? Well, I can right click on here, choose Insert, 2014. I can select the date from this calendar. Okay, I might have done it some time ago. Got places for manager, who reviewed it, etc., etc. Put in the taxable income. Okay, now these aren't calculated because these come from your tax calculation that you prepared for your client, that you discussed with them, and then that you submitted with the tax return. Okay, so I'm just guessing what the numbers are here. Right, and I might have done that, and then he's due a refund. Okay, and when I submit it, okay, because we're filling in the submission here, and I click on OK, it will show me there's the details, but a letter hasn't been sent to the client yet. Now I can automatically send a letter. I just right click and I choose Send Tax Letter. What it will do is it will choose the appropriate letter because there was a tax refund expected. It will pick out the appropriate letter. It will then fill it in with his name, address, details of the tax, when it's due. Sorry, not when it's due, when it was submitted, etc. Okay, and if I click on the print button, it will now turn that into an email, create the email, attach that letter to it, and send it to him. Right, so I click on send. Now that happened in Outlook. Sent that through now, Outlook, and that email's gone off to him, and it's been ticked off on here. Okay, what happens when I get the assessment? I come in here and I look, there's a 2014. I'll be waiting for it. Now it's got it been assessed. Double click. Okay, the amounts, if they were the same, I can just click on this button and it's just going to copy that across to the assessment. Okay, if we were assessed differently, maybe there was some penalty for late submission and maybe some interest on or interest credit because you've got a refund here. Okay, so and then here's the amount. Now at this point I could link the RTR 34 because I'm SARS e-filing, print it to PDF, save it in the folder. Okay, which folder? Save it in this client under the tax 2014 for Carl Robinson. Okay, link it then to that RTR 34. Okay, I don't have one here, but if we did, link it in, click on OK. You didn't specify the assessment type. Okay, it's an original assessment, date when it needs to be paid by. Sorry, I don't know what's happened. Okay. Sorry, date to pay. Okay, I can type it in, or I can choose from the calendar here. Click on OK, right click on it, and send the tax letter. It's going to pick up, again, the appropriate tax letter, and you can change this. So the letter that I created shows the submission and the assessment and the difference between the two. You might not want to show the submission part, so then you can change the letter so it doesn't show that part. Okay, you can make it exactly the way you want it to be. If I click on the printer, it's going to send the email, creates the email for me with the attachment. Okay, at this point you might want to say attach a copy of the RTR 34 as well. So then you could click on attach and put that and attach it as well and send it. Okay, so this is a recording of the submissions and the assessments and communicating with the client. Now you can work within the individual client, or we can go up to the tax tab here and we can look at the full submissions. Okay, so here's a list of submissions, and it's filtered by partner. Okay, so there will be those submissions. And if there are submissions that haven't been assessed, they will be on this tab as well. So you can then follow those things up. So you can monitor your tax system through these types of screens. Same on the assessments. Okay, here's a button for assessments now. And it's going to show you all the assessments that haven't yet been paid. On this one, this will show you all those assessments under objection, refunds not received, all the assessments, submissions not yet assessed. And again, can be filtered by partner. So refunds not received, you can go and chase these things up because now you've got a list of them. Right, and we've got the send to again. There's the send to button. So you can send that to Excel and take that list, give it to one of the staff members and say, go chase it up and report back to me with this list. Okay, so we can monitor everything through the system. If it's paid, we can just click on this pay button here and it's paid. Right. If we want to, we've got an option here to send. Okay, so I could right-click and send a letter. I can also right-click and send an SMS. Okay, so the system facilitates the sending of SMS messages as well. Now, SMSs are handled very, very well in the system, in that you can also get replies from those SMSs. So let's take this. I'm going to send an SMS. Okay, it says I haven't selected a cell phone number. Okay. So let's just close that. If I go back to the info page here, what's selected is a Okay, it's that cell number. Go here. Send the SMS. Right. Okay, 2 came up because my cell number is linked to 2 different accounts. But say I want to send myself a message. And if I just click on this button, this again will just walk me through the steps. So I'm just going to turn my cell phone on. So you'll hear it when the SMS comes through. Okay, let's try that one. And we'll click on send. Don't know if you could hear that, but that was the SMS coming through onto my phone. Now, what you do is you buy SMS credits from us. I think they're 40 cents plus VAT, and then that uses 1 credit. Or maybe more credits, because SMS I think is 160 characters. So you can send an SMS that goes up to using 4 credits, so going up to 640 characters. Okay, when I sent that SMS, it will appear should appear in this correspondence log. Oh, I sent it to the ClientMate's one. Okay, so there's the SMS appearing in the correspondence log. If I double click on it, I'll see what the SMS was that I sent, and there's the details of when I sent it. Okay, now just on my phone, going to have a look at that SMS, and I'm going to reply to it. Okay, so I've just sent an SMS from my phone, just replying to the SMS that was sent from ClientMate. And if I go into here under company, I go to SMS inbox, and I say get messages. Okay, here we go. The SMS came back. Okay, that's my reply to it. And if I choose file messages, then it's going to file that message with the one that was sent. So if I look under ClientMate's correspondence log, there you'll see that's the SMS I sent, and this is the reply. Okay, so I think that's a really cool feature. And clients do respond better to SMSs than emails, unfortunately. So if you've got an assessment that's outstanding, okay, we'll go in here and we'll have a look at the assessments. And here's, okay, we don't have an assessment not paid here because I paid it just now. Okay, let's see if we can unpay it. Okay. Okay, then we see. Okay, we know he. We need to tell him about this assessment that's outstanding. Then we can go to their assessments. Sorry, it's under here. And we could right click, send an SMS, and tell them about assessment. Okay, we received your tax assessment, shows an amount due of that, da 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 da. And if I just, sorry, wrong one, choose the right client, then it will fill in those details for us. Okay, so and those, again, those SMSs, they get set up, these letters get set up here. So, and they're fully flexible. You can change them, make them into whatever you want them to be. Okay, so there's a mistake or two in these little demo ones, but they can be changed and put new tokens in and things like that. Okay, provisional tax. This is really important because we obviously keep track of submissions, assessments, but also provisional tax. So when we come to the provisional tax, we've got a new process that we use. And that process is to go into tax here and choose prov tax. And what you'll do is you'll select either year-end month, which year, what period, and for which partners. And this list shows the completed returns. Okay, there aren't any. If I click on outstanding, this is where we would show the outstanding returns. And if we click create required returns, all the provisional tax returns now have just been created. Okay, they haven't been filled in with the figures because every one is different. But we now have a list of outstandings and we have a list of completeds. So we work through the outstandings. Okay, again, we can send to Excel, create the Excel list of it. But let's take this one, double click on it. Okay, the last assessment there, 2014, 200,000. If it was older, it would calculate that percentage increase for us. Okay, and then we choose whether we're going to put in a taxpayer estimate or whether we accept SARS. So we'll accept SARS, does the calculation for us. Click on the OK button. And that will disappear from the outstanding list and it will be now on the completed list. And you'll see the little Adobe Acrobat sign here under IRP6 because the IRP6 form was created for us. And if we click on it, that's what the form looks like. Now you can print that out, get your client to sign it. You could email that to your client because the form has been saved. And where was it saved? Let's have a look. If we go to that person, go to the Quick Explorer, it was the tax 2016, and there's a form. All right. Now you might want the client to sign it, so then you could send them an email. So here's a 2016. We'd tell them send the prov letter. There's the letter that's going to go to them. Send it. Create the email. Sorry, there we go. There's the email. Okay, with that form attached. Okay, if we open that, that's my letter attached. Okay, which also, on my letters, they have a fee note at the bottom. That's completely up to you. Right, I haven't filled in the amount either, but and then you might want to attach the file and go find that particular file, which is under the clients folder there, Carl 2016, and there's the actual RP6 that you're sending them. Now your letter, you would change it to say, and the RP6 is attached, please will you confirm that the figures are correct, sign it and send it back to me, something like that. Different people deal with the provisional tax in different ways, but we've tried to accommodate all that just by having a flexible system that can work for everyone. Okay, send it and it should go off. Okay. Yeah, then the actual provisional returns, you've got a place where you can write that it was e-filed. You can tick that off. You can put an e-filing reference number if you want to. So a whole lot of different ways to deal with that too. Okay, those fees for the provisional tax. This is where the fees are set. Okay, so we could put those in. Okay, whatever they happen to be. There's other things under tax here, like we've got this missing income tax numbers. So we could get a list of all those clients with a missing income tax number. Okay, that's quite useful. We've got missing year-end month. There shouldn't be any of those. No, they're not. Because when you create them, it defaults it to February, unless you change that. Okay, you can send, as we did letters from within the client side, we can also do it just for tax clients, and maybe just for provisional clients, just for non-provisional clients. Okay, so that will be a provisional list for all, whoops, no category, we don't want a category. Not exactly sure what I selected there. All right. Okay, there's lookups here. You can look up on tax numbers to see who belongs to a tax number. You can look up on a VAT number and PAYE numbers. Okay, I'm rushing now because there are quite a lot of questions and we're running out of time. But the CRPC side as well, where we can also look at their missing dates for PTY, missing incorporation dates. I'll put the incorporation dates in here, so there aren't going to be any that come up. You can get a list of all the PTYs, say, of a certain incorporation month. Sorry, let's go with the CCs because I think they are here. And there would be a list of those. So there's various reports that you can get out of the system. Tons and tons of reports. And if it's not there, you just tell us and we add it. The thing with software is that it's always under development. And the environment in which it's being used changes constantly. So we just keep on updating and we rely very much on requests that come from users. If user requests something, we try and meet that request, add a report, different way to do things. So this thing is always being changed and updated and adding new functionality. All right, let's just look through these questions again. Okay, so Zane asks, will we be able to import our current tax base into ClientMate? If we can get it into an Excel file, then we can import it into ClientMate. No problem. Okay, there's a question whether we interact directly with SARS e-filing. No, we don't. We did look into it. I got the specs to do it. Boy, it's complicated, and it actually works through a backdoor system. And wasn't very comfortable with it because your SARS e-filing front end is actually pretty good. So your user interaction, and that's the through your web browser into e-filing. That's good, and that's maintained, and it's looked after well by SARS. This backdoor that e-filing or that other systems use into e-filing, I think is a little bit dangerous, and it doesn't get all the attention that it needs. For example, that turnover field, while you had to fill that in if you went through the e-filing front door, on the back end, they didn't even have that field available for about 2 years. So, yeah. Just having a look. Okay, Cornet says, will we be able to do the letters, emails in Afrikaans? Yes, you can. Okay, now, if we look here at these letters, you'll notice that on the letters that we put out, there's a column here for language. And while I only put English letters in here, you can add your own letters. Okay, it's as simple as just clicking on this plus button here, and you can add your own letter. And there you can specify what language it's going to be. Okay, so we set up the letter and we do it as Afrikaans. Then, when you set up your client, right, there's an option here for language. Okay, and if you specify that as Afrikaans, then when the system chooses the letter, it looks to see now, the language for the client is Afrikaans. Is there an Afrikaans letter? And if there is, it will use it. If there isn't, it will just default to the English letter. So yes, you can set up, and you can set up more. You can do German letters. You could do them in Xhosa. You could do them in Zulu, whatever. As long as you set up the letters, the system can handle multiple languages. We are going to be adding more tracking of different taxes. So we're going to be adding tracking for VAT returns, for PAYE returns, UIF returns, etc. That is going to come. Okay, at the moment it's just income tax and the provisional tax, but those other ones are going to be coming in the not too distant future. Okay, and Zane, it's not a tax calculation system. So when we capture the submission, we're just capturing the figures at the end of it. Okay, we're just capturing the taxable income. We're not capturing how that figure was made up, the gross income less the deductions, etc. Okay, that's a program that we are looking at developing, but that's not available at the moment. Okay, Matthew says, is there a way to automatically add the RTA 34 to that email letter? Yes, there is. Okay, because you're in control. So when you look at a letter, it will be an assessment letter. So let's say this was an assessment company to pay. Okay, this very first one. What we can do is we can just prompt for attachment. And then when that letter gets sent and generated, it's going to ask you for the attachment. And at that point, you can then select the RT34, or you can just cancel and it will send it without the RT34. So yeah, you can set it up that way. Another question about English and Afrikaans. So yes, we can do Afrikaans letters. Yes, Matthew, we'll be setting up VAT similar to the provisional tax and PAYE as well. Can you scan client documents and save them in the client folder? For sure you can. Yep, you can. In fact, yeah, because you've got the folder structure that is also flexible. Remember, with that subfolders button, you can create subfolders as you please, and then you can save those documents into those. All right. Okay, I don't see any more questions right now. Certainly, there's other options here. I don't know if you, well, when you can visit our website, okay, rtmates.co.za, and you can download the program, and you are welcome to try it out. So you go to the downloads and follow the installation instructions, download it. You probably need to register it, but you can try it out and see all these options that are in here. There's actually too many to look at. Here, for example, I notice we've got birthday lists. So, and we can do it by list, or you can send a letter to all those people with a birthday in whatever month. We have a contact list. Okay, you can print it as an address book, Let's have a look. Like that. Because someone asked for this, so we just made this available. Two different ways of doing it. So if you ask, you'll get what you're looking for. Just looking through here. If you do need to keep FICA documentation and verifications throughout the program, you'll see these little tick boxes. Registered ID verified, for example, here, or income tax verified, VAT verified. You can use those tick boxes, and then you can get reports generated out of the system that will show those items that have not been ticked or verified and that need to be followed up. So I know some of the guys do investment work and whatever. You're going to be need to be FICA compliant, and you can use the system to help you with that as well. I mentioned earlier you can set up various partners. Okay, so the different partners that can be created. There's staff that can be created. Clients can be assigned to staff members, and many of the reports you can filter based on the staff member who's responsible for those things. On the staff setup, we did an interesting little thing. So if I add in someone here, these different signatures, okay, when you set up the person, these will get appended onto the bottom of your emails if you set it up that way. But for Rolf, for example, you could set up a phone number. And we, and I can use a little SMS. I can send an email that way, quickly send them an email, or I can send them an SMS, okay? Or I can, this other one was to phone. If you have a modem attached to your computer, then that would actually dial out, talk to them. So it was just a nice little addition for keeping in touch with your staff, particularly when they're out of the office. I think that is it. Let's just see if there are any more questions come in. Ooh. Yes, Zane, there's a demo on our website. Let's just go there quickly. Okay, itmates.co.za on the downloads page. Okay, ClientMate Tax is the one that you'll download. Just follow those installation instructions, and you should be good on that. Okay, Brian, can you set up groups to send reminders for things like annual returns? Well, the annual returns you deal with under the CIPC. You can do a list, or you can go to this filter where you would look at the incorporation date, and there you would see, okay, all those that are due now this month. So you can use it that way in terms of an active list, or get a printed out list. I don't know if that would work for you. Zane, you have a very interesting question here. Okay, it says, can specific reports be created for our own needs? In other words, flexible reports. And I've neglected to tell you about that. Right, if you look under clients and you go to lists and you choose customized, here you can create your own customized list. And it's literally a drag and drop thing. So if I don't need this type field, for example, I can drag it and drop it over here. If I wanted something else, if I wanted the year-end month, I can drag it from here and I can drop it in there. Okay, I've got various fields down this list, but I can create that as I wanted. Then I can also create filters of those. So if I only wanted those that were on the primary mailing list, for example, then that list will change. And I think I can print this list. Where's it gone? So it's come up on my other monitor. Let's see if we can pull it across. There we go. Okay, and that basically printed that list. We can look at adding an option to maybe export that list to Excel as well, because I think that would be more useful. But yeah, you can create your own list report. If you're wanting anything else, let me know, because it's probably something else that other people would like as well. Okay, can we add clients' bank account details? Now, I know that that is something that would be very useful, but it's also very sensitive. So we really, I'm looking at getting back in place where you can have access control and viewing control of who can see what. Okay, at the moment we can use this notes field. Everyone has a notes field, and you can put the details in there, but obviously everyone can see that. I think when we do the bank account one, we're going to want to restrict it to certain people. So that's something that we're looking at definitely. Can you import contacts into Outlook from ClientMate? You can in a roundabout way, because you can export from ClientMate by using these options. We've got two options: export to email list. Okay, so that's just going to produce. No, that bombed out. Although the email list did actually appear in Excel over here. I just can't get Excel across to the side. Sorry, there we go. So I did create that Excel list with the email addresses and those mailing lists. So then you could take this and you could import that into your Outlook or any other mailing system that you wanted to use. If you need more info than that, you can actually export this one with client data, and that exports all the client data. Okay. Okay, Zane asks how many provisional emails can be sent out at a time. Generally, they're done one at a time as you complete them. I think there is an option under here to send a batch of them, I think. But generally, you do them one at a time as you complete them. Is the system relatively fast? Yes, it is. I have a client database on mine of 5,000 clients and running across the network, and there is, it's just maybe, I don't know, half a second delay when I'm scrolling through the list. It's actually relatively fast. It depends on the size of the database, depends on the network you're running. So if you're running it over a wireless network, you might, the network can slow you down a bit, but it's, that can be improved, of course. Can you record disputes and objections? Yes, you can. If we go to any particular client and we take that assessment, for example, here we could say it's under ADR, objection, appeal, or settled. So they've got different icons there. Okay, so we've used different icons for different things. Okay, it's on appeal. We've got a little judge sitting there. Probably can't see it on the screen, but so yeah, you can, and that would then obviously appear on on these reports. So things that are under objection, they would have you see them under this tab. Okay. Guess a question here is, do you get an SMS alert when an SMS goes through, or do you have to go and check? No, you have to go and check, because it's just the way that it works. It actually works through, internally it works through a web interface, and you have to ask that web interface if you've got any SMSs. So we have a lot of people use the SMS facility, and they really do like it. But what we could maybe do is have it automatically check every morning when it starts up or something like that. Okay, Zane, no, you don't manually create each provisional tax. The provisional tax, the calculation's done for you as you put the numbers in. Okay, it's just on the submissions that you have to type in those numbers from your tax calculation. Okay, because there could be, if the guy's a farmer, it's going to be subject to averaging or whatever. So those things can't just be done automatically. But the provisional tax, certainly that's done for you. Okay, I think that we've covered everything. Give you an idea of how things work. Obviously, you're welcome to phone us, email us, try out the program for yourself, and give us feedback. As I've said before, the more feedback we get, the better we make the program. And we have not made it expensive. Those prices, actually I didn't go to the prices, but if we look at the ClientMate database, those are the prices basically on a per module. Okay, so for a 5 user, it's 205 Rand a month, or 2,000 Rand for the year. If you go with ClientMate plus tax, then you'll see that it's double that base price, and then you could add time to it as well. Okay, so we're not expensive, and we've got a lot of functionality in there. And the more people we have using this and making requests to make it better, the better the system's going to get, the more it's going to align with your own offices and the way that you use it. So I'm very excited about the response that I got today. 170 people signed up for the webinar. I can see that that we're needing something like this, look, we're going to also, just so you know, we're going to be focusing on this POPI Act and making sure that things comply with that. Because you need to, where you keep information on a client, you need to be able to show them that information, update that information regularly. This database is so central to what we do as accountants. I mean, we're looking after clients' affairs, and we need to be able to keep track of that. We need to be able to contact them. We need to be able to quickly and easily look up their status. And a client database is just an essential tool in putting all that together. So for those of you that have come today and you don't actually have the program already, I'd encourage you, try it out, phone us, talk to us, give us a feedback. Thank you so much to everyone who's been here today. It's been really good being able to chat to you, and I think we're just going to stop the recording. This recording will be made available probably tomorrow morning, and all of you will get a link to it. You can download it, pass it around. We'll put it up on our website as well, so you can refer other people to it as well if you don't mind. You know, the more the word gets around, the better. Thank you very much for attending.